preámbulos, vamos a dar paso a las dos primeras ponencias del Congreso. Va a inaugurar esta rueda Monsieur Filliau, es representante del SPORTACCORD, entre otras muchas cosas. Y quién mejor para presentarlo que Jordi Serra, que ya ha sido durante 12 años director ejecutivo de la Federación Internacional de Tenis de Mesa y también ha sido CEO de los Campeonatos Mundiales de Veteranos de Tenis de Mesa que se celebraron, por si algunos lo recuerdan, el pasado mes de mayo en IFA. Jordi, le das paso a...
Buenas tardes. Yo vivo en Suiza y esta mañana he cogido el vuelo de Ginebra y el vuelo repleto completamente. Y mirando quién venía en este vuelo, he podido apreciar los típicos turistas ingleses, rusos, suizos, pero había el Fútbol Club Sion, un pueblo, una ciudad suiza que desplazaba a todo su equipo de fútbol a Alicante. Me ha parecido un buen presagio para lo que vamos a hablar aquí y por eso he querido empezar con estas palabras. Hace unos meses Pedro Egea, el director del Congreso, me pidió si por el hecho de estar en Lausanne y haber estado en la Federación Internacional podía hacer algunos contactos para que puedan ser ponentes de este congreso. He de agradecer a los ponentes o a los contactos que hice que realmente aceptaran su participación, o su no participación, pero su presencia, y en este sentido quiero destacar la presencia hoy de Michel, la presidenta de la Federación Internacional de Triatlón, que aunque no sea ponente, está hoy presente con nosotros. Gracias, Michel, por estar con nosotros. Una de las primeras personas que me pareció que sería importante poder contar con él fue Patrick Baumann, que es el secretario general de la FIBA y que es miembro del CIO y es el presidente de SPORTACCORD, que es la unión de todas las federaciones. Hablé con Patrick me dijo, el mes de enero lo tengo imposible, sin embargo, te voy a mandar a mi mano derecha. La mano derecha es Michel Filliau, del que, además de ser un gran amigo y del que conozco desde hace muchos años, tiene un currículum profesional que quiero contaros brevemente. Su gran primera dedicación profesional en el mundo deportivo, después de un máster de gestión deportiva en la Universidad de Lyon, fue como director deportivo de la ciudad de Nimes en los finales de los años 80, 89 al 92. Precisamente esta ciudad fue distinguida como la ciudad francesa más deportiva durante su periodo. Luego, en el 92, estuvo unos años en una empresa de consultoría deportiva, pero en el año 98 se unió al CIO, al Comité Olímpico Internacional, como responsable de relaciones institucionales con comités olímpicos nacionales de todo el mundo. Él estuvo desde el año 98 al año 2009 en el Comité Olímpico Internacional y en el 2009 empezó otro reto profesional importante, que fue ir a trabajar en el Comité Olímpico de Qatar como consejero del secretario general y del presidente. Y esta etapa llegó hasta el año pasado, en que regresó a Suiza y empezó a vincularse a SPORTACCORD, que es la unión de todas las federaciones internacionales, y trabajando como consejero del presidente. Y ahora me ha contado hoy que además también está trabajando en la FIBA, en la Federación Internacional de Baloncesto. Creo que es un currículum profesional muy brillante, pero lo más importante es también que nos puede dar esta visión internacional de la importancia y de los vínculos entre el turismo y deporte actualmente, y por esto le agradezco que haya aceptado participar.
It's the very good opportunity for me to, at the moment, to say Happy New Year to you, to thank deeply the technical team who has been working hard since 6 o'clock to try to resolve some technical issues. Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm very happy to be here tonight. I would like, first of all, on behalf of Patrick Baumann, who asked me to represent him in here, to thank Universal Sport Tourism and Mr. Pedro Egea, the organizer of this Congress, and the strong support of the Gobierno Provincial d'Alicante and Mr. Pascual Diaz, who is there, for the initiative to organize this Congress. As Jordi Serra, thank you Jordi, you have been very much too kind. As Jordi Serra explained, and Patrick Baumann do apologize not being able to be there to address you, but I'm sure that you will have the opportunity to be there in one of your next edition. As Patrick, as President of SPORTACCORD, but Secretary General of the FIBA too, is very concerned, and you will see that during the presentation, is very concerned by all the entourage of the sport event, not only the field of play, but the global economic and the global sphere of a sport event. This picture in the last Rio game with Mr. Horacio Moratore, the president of the FIBA, and of course you recognize Mr. Thomas Bach, the president of the IOC. It's the moment for me to thank and to highlight the various personalities who are there in this room, and if you allow me, beginning to speak about SPORTACCORD, I must highlight the presence of our treasurer, Mrs. Marisol Casado. Good evening, Marisol, and Happy New Year. Marisol, as you will see later on, is more than being the IOC member, well known for Spain, and the president of the ITU, International Triathlon Union, is the treasurer of the SPORTACCORD. You will see that later on. We have been asked to introduce, to speak about the federation, to speak about SPORTACCORD, and then to speak about the sport events and tourism, or impact on tourism, on the paper that I received. So I'm going to try to stick to that. And I shall do a presentation in average, if you want, of the global, the two thematic. I'm not going to go very in deep, but I'm at your disposal to answer questions if you want to go more in details. The global presentation will be organized with internet links. So if you want to have all the sources of what I'm going to speak about, I'm going to quote, you just need to ask the presentation to the organizers and you will have all the internet link on the text. First, SPORTACCORD. Who is SPORTACCORD? As you invited us, as you see on the small logo upstairs, so you don't see it. It's the International Federations Union. Lots of people ask us, what is SPORTACCORD? What does it mean? It comes from the years 20, where the first international federations had the idea to gather, and nowadays, the originality is that it's the only international organization who bring together Olympic sports and non-Olympic international federations. This is globally the 109 members. Full members are international federation. I'll come back on that a bit later on. And some associate members, it's a bit small, who are more events organizer. So on the full members, for example, as Marisol is there, you will find the FIFA next to ITU, next to some flying disc federation. And we have a lot, we have around 70 non-Olympic sport federations who are full members of SPORTACCORD. Be assured, I'm not going to read the screen, you are going to read it. Who are we and what do we do? SPORTACCORD is the International Federations Union. As lots of sport organizations, we have a council. In some organizations, it's called a board, it's called an executive board. In our case, it's called a council. If everything operates absolutely correctly, I should be able to show you that immediately. And this council, as the president Patrick Baumann, 2 vice presidents. I just want to show you the diversity. 2 vice presidents who are representing organization or who are president of organization who are not well known of the public at large, but who are very important. ARISF are the recognized international federation when AIMS and Mr. Stefan Fox, Mr. Cooley for ARISF, are the independent association. Both of them are president of important sport in terms of, if I may say, linked to this Congress, tourism, business, as Mr. Cooley is more the water motor sports and Mr. Stefan Fox, Muay Thai, who has been recently recognized by the IOC. Marisol Casado, representing the ASOIF, many acronyms in sport, many sports organizations representing groups of federation. ASOIF, to make it simple, and I speak under the control of Marisol, who will correct me, is for all the summer Olympic sports, when IOF is for winter Olympic sport. Mr. Frakari from ARISF, Kate Keynes, then Mr. Nenad Lalovic for wrestling, and one of other of your national Spanish IOC members, IOC member for Spain, should I say, Mr. José Perurena, who is the president of the International Canoe Federation, but at the meantime, who is the president of the World Games Association. I'm not going to click on all the links, but if you want more details concerning the General Assembly, the statutes, you can have it, you click, and you have the documents. The key objectives of an organization like the SPORTACCORD are very simple. First, knowledge sharing. Forget everything, just keep knowledge sharing between the members, how the biggest federation can help not only the smallest, but can help each other. The support of the SPORTACCORD Convention, which is certainly a very well-known event, and the IF Forum worldwide. The services developed for members. I'm going to show you one example in the next slide, and the organization of multi-sport games. Now, I must be honest with you, perhaps some of you have heard that there have been a lot of trouble in the past years in SPORTACCORD, that's true. Mr. Baumann and the new board in which Marisol Casado is sitting has been elected last April, and we have been through a difficult times. We are rebuilding currently SPORTACCORD and the global services for the international federations. Example. There is a convention, and Jordi Serra was recalling me that the first convention of SPORTACCORD was in Madrid. And this convention is a success every year. This convention is the big gathering during 1 week time of all the actors of the sport world, from the international federations, the actors, the companies. This year, this convention is going to take place in Aarhus. Certainly my pronunciation of Danish is not so good. Aarhus is in the north of Denmark. And this convention has always two parts. A very big institutional gathering, doing lots of institutional meeting of the various subgroups of federations, sport federations, objective, planning, and then more business meeting with all the companies working in or around the sport event management or even the sport management only. We have an IF forum. IF forum is, if I may say, a smallest convention. It's every year a place where we gather, we give the priority to the technicians of the federation. For example, this year it was in Lausanne, and the idea was to work on the theme of the health of the athletes. And we had a gathering of 2 days of all the doctors, all the specialists in sport medicine, physiotherapists and so on, who were gathering and thinking on how to make some evolutions on their theme. There is oops, I made it, sorry. There is another important aspect of SPORTACCORD, and this is one of the service that we were speaking about on the slide before. This is a transversal service done for all the federations who need it. You have certainly heard this last month about doping and anti-doping. So the SPORTACCORD has the DFSU. I'm looking at my excellent translator who was asking me how to translate that in Spanish. This is the anti-doping unit of the international sport movement. And this doping-free sport unit is there to help, let's say, the federations who want to delegate the part or the totality of their operations against doping. Just a quick film, quick presentation.
SPORTACCORD has made the promotion of doping-free sport one of its key commitments. It encourages synergies and knowledge sharing among its members. Since the creation of its doping-free sport unit in 2009, in cooperation with WADA and the IOC, SPORTACCORD provides free services to support the anti-doping programs of all members. Meanwhile, ad-cost services are provided to a growing number of federations that are interested in outsourcing part or all of their doping-free testing, administrative or educational activities. The International Federations Union, SPORTACCORD.
This is just to give you an overview. Of course, doping is not something that we speak in 30 seconds, but just to give you an overview of one very important service that SPORTACCORD is delivering. And this, since the creation in 2009, it has never stopped. We have this team of people working for the benefit of the federations, not only Olympic, but non-Olympic, for the benefit of the athletes at the end of the day. The second aspect of the rebuilding of the SPORTACCORD is that we have put in place again the working groups to relaunch these thematic games. To be very clear, SPORTACCORD is absolutely not working against the federations in terms of rivalry or the International Olympic Committee. The idea is to bring in 3 thematic sports, is to bring Olympic and non-Olympic sport or disciplines. 3 types of games. Mind games. Can tell you something, nearly no success in Europe, except if some of you are playing chess and are very concerned about that, but I've been living in Asia and you have full rooms of 5,000 people looking live, people playing chess or Go. This is absolutely spectacular. The combat games, it's specialized games for all the combat sport. Just a quick overview of the urban games. Urban games are the third games that have never been organized. Combat games have been organized already twice, Beijing and St. Petersburg. Mind games have been organized only in Beijing. So I want to give you the flavor of the new sport event, and it's linked directly to the theme of this conference, how to attract new people, how to attract tourism, how to attract interest. Acceptar, and normally it should work, except if it doesn't work, and this is where, yes, it works. This is what it's absolutely not contractual. I wanted to give you the test of new sport events. New sport events, not opposed to the old sport events, but let's say a new frame of new events arriving, and you will have tomorrow a detailed presentation of my excellent colleague, Ignacio Soriano from the FIBA will give you in details the evocation of what is and how has been created the 3x3 in basketball. You heard about straight basketball, now we speak about the basketball 3x3. This is the evolution of some events. We'll come back later on too. Sport event and impact on tourism. Be sure I'm not going to do an academic lecture. I'm not going to bother you with lots of theory, but I'm going to quote some interesting things because I think it's the theme of your Congress, and I do apologize not being able to stay here the next days. I'm obliged to go back tomorrow. But working on that with some specialists in the IOC and some IFs, I discovered or rediscovered sometimes very interesting things. And look at that. Perhaps some of you know the organization called SCORL International. SCORL International is the organization of the world tourism professionals. And SCORL International, in their congress in November 2015, quoted that sport tourism is the sleeping giant of the tourism market. This is a very interesting PowerPoint to read. We are not going to read it, but let me share with you some facts and figures who have been organized worldwide on this thematic, and I'm sure that all your professionals here will have time to go through. It's very interesting to see that these professionals of tourism, so they observe the sport under the angle of tourism professional. They see three types of sport event. sport event for tourism, active sport tourism, and nostalgia sport tourism. They go through the global sport market revenue that you certainly already heard about. It's not only in the US, it's a study worldwide. And they go through the type of traveler. It's very interesting to see the targets. I was speaking with Ignacio earlier today, and we say when we address something, the first priority is who is our target for the new sports events or the sport event only, who do we want to address? And this very interesting to go through this study. I stop there. I do not go for the next link, but interesting enough, on the same symposium in 2015, the sport, tourism, culture, sport and tourism was the theme of this Congress. So you see that sport is important enough to be there. Sorry for some quote in French. You have heard that I am French, but not because of that, but what is the definition of a sport event, or let's say a main sport event, a mega sport event? If I may translate for those who are not speaking French, all the study was been done there, see 5 criteria. Strong touristic attractivity, influence on the image of the country or the region, dynamism for the local trade, acceleration for the construction of public equipments, and the very important presence of media coverage. I think we all agree that we have there the very important cocktail, if we want to say, to have a success in a sport event, but the junction, when you meet, how you want to attract tourists from abroad to come to see your event. Not going through all the links, as I told you, if you are interested, very interesting to see the sport and tourism. There have been a lot of academic publication, but professional publication too, on the framework. How do the two themes should work more together, should share more together. And as I'm a bit old now as an event organizer, I must say that it's not always that the sport event organizer or the tourism in various collectivities are working together from the beginning, from the time of a bid, not from the time of the beginning of the organization, but from the time of bidding, and I shall give you some example in way of my professional experience. If you are interested, go and read the Journal of Sport and of Tourism. It's something with a real authority in this, in all these matters. Same in English, not same of course, but very interesting to see that there is a correlation with the various criteria. And you see, enhancing international tourism, what the persons have said before me, reorienting the image of a place. May I quote respectfully Barcelona, the change, the brand, the change of the city after the games, the superb games of '92. Boosting our urban regeneration, renovation, quality of life for visitors and citizens. Everything is there, and how the major events enhance, upgrade the tourism destination. I'm not going through Spain. You are all from, nearly all from Spain, so you will you know more than me the policy and the various engagement of your government, your local authorities or association. I would like now to give you some examples that I have had the chance to cross in my professional life, and not to say they are the best, but to say they are interesting, and there is something to study behind. Holland has done a very national decision on targeting sport as a tool of development. And they did this everywhere where you go, the orange strategy. And you find that everywhere in all the sport congress. And they have, for example, for you to see, I shall not go into details, but they have Holland Sport and Industry portal. On this, you find on this hub done by the government of Holland, you find all the resources together, the links together with the routes, including for the tourism. This is very interesting because not all countries have done that, and they have done that through a real global strategy. And I can give you the example of the city of Amsterdam, totally connected with this global portal, with the declination of this orange strategy. For those of you who are coming in the international sport event or congress, you will see always the orange color. You know that the Holland is there. Very interesting point too in United Kingdom. United Kingdom decided the same. If we use in English the wording sport industry, you can imagine it's not a Latin one, even in the concept of the sport industry. I shall show you what Britain is doing with UK sport. Perhaps you heard about if you work in sport, with a very interesting dynamic strategy. And you see here, not going to read everything, but again, Premier League, Ryder Cup, Wimbledon, or simply a walk in the countryside. Everything is there. We are not focusing only on elite sport when we speak about tourism and sport. We speak about an everyday practice from an everyday practice. I'm not Scottish, I love Scotland, I'm not Scottish, but may I show you that because it's really an example actually of a region. I use the wording on the European, let's say, politically correct wording. Scotland is doing a lot using sport as a tool of representation, international tool of representation. And on this kind of portal, you find again everything. For the professional that you are certainly in sport or tourism, you have everything, the links, the information, the way to coordinate yourself and the way to link yourself between sport and tourism. This is really an example. Qatar. I'm going to be clear, Jordi told it. I've been for 6 years working as an advisor of the Mr. Sport in Qatar, except football. I need to be clear on that too. We were not working on football like in so many countries. I can give you, not spending hours on that, but I can give you a real aperçu of what has been done in this country. A national sport sector strategy has been created, and I'll show you something. This is the official document, acceptar. This is the official document who was done defining what should be, until last year, 16, the national sport strategy, with the metaphor of the roots and the leaves. The document is very long. You might read it if you are interested in, but I want to show you something. This was my boss, Cher Saoud, that Marisol knows. I want to show you something. Sport activating the Qatar National Vision 2030. This was really the global vision on the sport. And you will see here that there are various topics: inspiring the nation, active Qatar campaign, etc., etc. And there is Sport for Star, propelling the nation, new chapter to growth. I'll show you on the other document. There is the clear wording on the fact that we are a hub for sport and we have to attract tourism, to develop in parallel the tourism industry. This is the moment just to tell you about a concept that we have developed at this time in Qatar. I say we because I was there and I worked completely with this team. The idea as sport event organizer linked with tourism was to develop a door-to-door concept in the event. Concrete example, we were bidding for a world event. We were answering to the bid with, on one hand, the Ministry of Tourism and Qatar Airways, and we were able to provide a proposal to the answering to a bid from door to door, meaning including the transportation with Qatar Airways to Qatar. That's if some of you have been there for the World Handball Championship, with special management for all the visitors, visa process, and so on and so on. This door-to-door concept, if you can do it, it's really a big way to enhance, to upgrade your collaboration between sport and tourism and to bring more people. Just a quick look, normally I've opened all the links before. I see that it's reopening again. We were publishing every year the sport opportunities in Qatar, and you will see that the tourism this time, I can show it clearly. Yeah, tourism and public facilities here. It was really in the global sport hub. It was the permanent collaboration and coordination with the tourism authority in this country. The last link is the quote by the Oxford Group. If you are interested, there is a very interesting literature by the Oxford Group looking at the reality of the sport events. You might ask a question about the Olympics. I'm not going to enter into details, but it's very interesting to see the declaration that has been done on around the 20th of December by the Brazilian Minister for Tourism, who explained that 6.6 million foreign tourists have been visiting Brazil, a rise of 4.8% of the previous year's figure. The public figures says that in London it has been in 2.5 augmentation. The rise was 2.5 of more tourism than before. It's interesting to see that in this part of the world they have analyzed even the segmentation of their visitors and showing how the South America benefit about that. I think I'm not far from the timing. Yeah, I'm going to go quickly. If there is one link as sport organizer, sport event organizer, or tourism involved in, there is the first one from Canada, from our friend Denis Paquet. It's a very interesting way on how the province of Montreal and Quebec did to project themselves internationally, and how they did in strict terms of methodology. This PowerPoint, 64 pages, is giving all the details to their stakeholders nationally and at the level of the region. You see, why the tourism? Pourquoi le tourisme sportif? Why the sport tourism? And giving a lots of details, giving a lots of comprehension in a global study done by the sports sector and the tourism sector in la belle province du Québec and Montreal. I've nearly finished. I leave you the links if you want to look at them in France, where big studies have been done on the realities of the sports event and the economic results. Impact. There is an interesting link on Gabon with next month, the Football Africa Cup of Nations, how they worked on that already, thinking about tourism in Africa. It's interesting because that's not every day that we think that people are doing tourism in Africa. And the good example of UAE, Abu Dhabi, who has always tried to find its way to work on sport and tourism between Dubai and Doha. It's very interesting to see how they have made some studies to reposition themselves in the sport industry, again with tourism in as a goal. Quickly to finish, I cannot speak on behalf of international federations, of course, but let me give you for once a very personal comment. If I was with you working between tourism officials or specialists and the sports specialists to work on a new event, a new sport, some of the key aspects that I would work or propose to work on: capacity, easy access, transportation, international, local. Easy accommodation. Sometimes it seems like stupidity is what I'm saying, Monsieur de la Palisse, but it's realities, and it's not always like that. Safety, security nowadays. I'm not going to comment more. This is key. This is key. Excellent. I said excellent. IT network, easy communication media. Nowadays, internet govern everything in the sport event. Again, we were speaking with Jordi on how sometimes when you want to organize something somewhere, you have to bring the internet. It's not possible anymore. Now, the internet and the global internet network belong to the sport event. The partnership with local authority, it's key, absolutely key. You should not see anymore one-shot event. It should be a real partnership for 2, 3, 4 years. Ignacio will explain you more tomorrow about the FIBA strategy on that. And if I may finish with a wink to what have been said before, all the event organizers are dreaming of the spot, the iconic place who is gathering all that, plus the signature of the event. Not a classical gymnase or let's say a commercial palace, but really a spot. The concrete example of that, I told him that after having had the pressure, I was going to put him the pressure. The concrete example of all this will be explained to you tomorrow by Ignacio Soriano, my colleague, from the FIBA, on how FIBA created this 3x3 basketball 3x3 new discipline by owning completely the event, including the internet app. He will give you all the details. You can take it really as a prolongation of this, of my very quick speech on this global strategy, sport and tourism. Sorry to have been very long. I'm at your disposal then after if you have any question, and I hope it has been quite useful for you. Thank you. Allow me just to thank my Spanish voice, the translator who was operating behind. Muchas gracias.
Esta ponencia se ha alargado un poquito más de la cuenta. De todas formas, si alguien quiere hacer alguna pregunta breve, 1 o 2 preguntas, admitimos. De todas formas, toda la información estará a disposición de los participantes del Congreso. Pero si alguien quiere hacer alguna pregunta, las azafatas le pasan el micrófono. ¿Nadie? Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Filliau. Bueno, ahora vamos a dar paso a la segunda ponencia de este primer día de Congreso, la que nos va a hablar el presidente de la Liga de Fútbol Profesional, Javier Tebas, y quién mejor para describirlo y para presentarlo que el presidente del Elche Club de Fútbol, Diego García.
Yo tengo una presentación.
Tú tienes presentación con mientras. Mientras la pones, yo si quieres, tiene una presentación.